Hi, Kwonyin.
Hi, Sylvia.
Um, this always happens sometimes. Well, not always, but
What?
quite often where we just forget to record
I
and we just
know.
talk away. Like,
We're like,
wait, yeah,
there's so much
record.
good stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh. Oh my God.
So we just got on the
Yeah.
topic of delusion, like delusion.
Yes. Okay, so um why it feels unsafe to fully own your own excellence?
Yeah, or like fully own your empowerment, like fully, or is it like fully feeling satisfied with yourself?
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like you can fully own it until you get permission from someone outside of you that says, "Hey,
Yeah, validating it for you.
validating it. Oh, hey,
Yeah,
that's really cool. You're really great at that. Or
yeah,
you get an award, or like feeling like you can't fully claim it until you get noticed and awarded
yeah.
externally. But until then, you don't feel like you can just have the right to claim it for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like,
Wow.
and also it like you reject it immediately, or you
Yeah.
know that about you, but you feel like you have to reject it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really interesting.
I know. So I was telling the example to Sylvia about how yesterday I was meeting with my writers club
Yeah, yeah,
group, and there's three other friends, and they're all really accomplished published authors, writers,
yeah,
and I just wrote the first draft of my book.
yeah,
That's kind of a memoir
yeah,
type thing, collection of stories, collection of true stories. And I just sent over my first story, which was a big thing because I haven't showed it to
yeah,
anyone yet. And yeah, meeting up with the group, and they're just, giving me their feedback, giving me their praise, and
yeah.
just how much they love it. And they're just telling me all the things that they love, like, oh, I love this detail and this detail. And I was just sitting there feeling so uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
then,
I was kind of in a freeze. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
cool. Yeah. Thanks. Oh my God. Oh, really? You like that? Oh, it was just so awkward.
And then on top of that, while you were sharing your story, I was like, wait, you know you're a good writer, right? Because that's also how I see you. You're like a fantastic writer. You make writing feel so, like I said, attractive, and like you make words feel so beautiful. And so I was like, you know that, right? You know you're a good writer, right? But you kind of felt like didn't know how to answer
Yeah.
that.
I go into a freeze.
Yeah,
It froze a
yeah.
little bit.
And it's almost like if you knew how we feel about you as a writer and you fully owned it, how happy you can be, like about yourself.
Hmm.
So not fully feeling into the satisfaction of the self.
Yeah.
Because if you were in like, so if the way I see you as a writer or these other ladies that see you as a writer, and you like fully owned it and know that too, just like we do, like you feel so satisfied to know that others see you, like knowing that you are, but somehow not wanting to see it as like it's true or something, not wanting to
Hmm.
claim it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like I can feel in my body, there's just this, it feels like a very unexplored, even empty place
Yeah. Yeah.
where like the version of myself who could really fully claim that and enjoy
Hmm.
it and
Hmm.
own it and be really happy about it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
celebrate it.
Yeah.
It feels like a very wobbly,
Yep.
unformed thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I am very familiar with the feeling of just doing my thing,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
you know? And that place feels so much safer to me
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wonder what that is. And then I was telling you how there must have been something painful or traumatic about really acknowledging or owning something about myself and seeing it invalidated from someone external to me
Yeah.
that caused me to instead just downplay it.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
to fully claim yourself feels very powerful, actually. To feel
Mhm.
fully satisfied and confident in knowing yourself and to feel fully
Yeah.
satisfied with yourself, that's
Mhm.
so much like you're feeling into so much power of who you are as a being.
Yeah. Mhm.
And maybe to claim that much power is very intimidating somehow.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then to riff off of that, um, I was telling you about how I got together with a client um, because in their memory, their desire was to always feel like I want to get ready with, um, like together with girlfriends. So we had that
You mean
moment.
get ready and like beautify
Yeah, yeah.
themselves? Yeah. That
So we decided,
experience.
okay, well, if that's your desire, I basically said, okay, well, why don't we make that happen? And we can get together one day and um, put makeup together. And the funny thing is, that client doesn't really wear makeup, and I don't either. I used to a lot when I was younger,
Mhm.
but not anymore. So I like
Mhm.
completely forgot. And
Mhm.
in that moment, what we both recognized was as we were applying makeup and all that, like the shyness came out. We don't know what to put on first and all of that. And then afterwards, we both agreed that, oh gosh, if we were to go out in public, because usually when people wear makeup, it boosts their confidence so that when they do go out, like they like the compliment, they like the stare. But then for her and I, we both agreed, like, yeah, if we were to go out, it's more of a, please don't look at me. Please don't make any comments. Like, just don't stare. It was the complete opposite. And
Mm.
I wanted to retrieve when
Interesting.
it should boost your confidence and feel good about, hey, look at me.
Yeah.
Not, right? And today, because this week I was just going through a lot of like just shadow exploration, whatnot, just homebound in my sweats, not really taking care of like self-care on the physical aspect of like dressing up a little bit and feeling good. But today for Mirror Moons, I just decided, you know what, this feels like an outing today for me for this week. So
Mhm.
let me just kind of wear something a little bit nicer. And I did approve. I was like, okay, I like this look. Like, and even me, I can tell I'm like hesitating to even say, yeah, I did look beautiful. Like I do look beautiful and I like this look. And come on, like it's even like I hesitate to even say this right now.
Mm.
And I come on and then you say, oh, you look really nice. And then
Mhm.
you caught me because my first thing is, oh my God, this is such an old sweater that I have for a long time.
Mhm. You're like,
And
this old thing.
yeah, and just kind of just like you with what you experienced yesterday, I'm
Mhm.
experiencing the same energy of like, oh, I know I look good. And I'm only confident in saying this right now because I already told you about it. But if I didn't tell you about it and we were just totally raw and we just hit record, I don't think it's almost like I found safety with you first. And then I'm able to even say it like this with this tone.
Mm.
Yeah. I think to say it for the first time, I would have like a little bit of shaky in my voice, like shakiness in my voice, and my tone wouldn't be this confident.
Mhm.
But I feel like the only reason why I'm able to say this out loud in a safe way was because I'm in front of a safe person, which
Mm.
gave me the confidence to even like share this in this way.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, I felt the same way where like, I know I am, but I don't want you to call me out on it. Like, don't. Because if you do, I mean, the moment you did, it's like, no, I want to retreat. Please don't look at me. I actually want to look ugly now, like ugly, ugly. Yeah, it gets pretty
Yeah.
intense. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But
So,
I am very aware this is for me connected to power.
mm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And then
Yeah.
another thing that's connected to this was that same client, after we did the makeup thing and all, she did this thing where she just kind of like didn't say anything. And there was a little bit of space there of like no word exchange. And I couldn't handle that. And it triggered me to see her just kind of sit there staring, feeling like she doesn't need to say anything. And here I am, like, oh, I need to fill in this gap, this space. And so I started talking, but I immediately knew that I called it out.
Mhm.
But that was something I became aware of. Like when somebody is sitting there confidently, because what I felt from her was like she's sitting there confidently in herself, um, um, just staring. That's how I perceived it. But when I called it out, she revealed her perspective of where how she was feeling was just, oh, I know I would get awkward like you too, but you don't give me the chance to get awkward because you end up talking. Like, so it actually helps me
Mm.
out to end up, you know. I was like, oh, that's interesting because I thought you were confident in like your present self. And it's like, oh no, it wasn't even that from her perspective. Yeah.
So she was also feeling awkward, but you talked so she didn't feel
She
awkward?
didn't even get the chance to feel awkward because I was doing
Oh,
such a good
yeah.
job of filling in that gap. Yeah. But
Mm.
she said if you didn't do that, I would definitely feel like she would have felt awkward.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I realized, oh, there's something about silence and the power. Like silence has so much power. And for some reason, like um to me it feels like too much power where I have to distract it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But that was something I was
Wow.
like, yeah. And I think it why I'm saying this is because it's connected to somehow with like claiming more of our own, like claiming our own power more.
Mm.
Yeah. And that has been also the theme of my week this week. It's
Mhm.
all about exploring power.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's interesting how you like creating distractions to that power.
Mm. But the
Interesting.
irony in this is when I talk, I feel the empowerment.
Mhm.
But when I'm just kind of like, if you were to just stare at me with no word exchange, I can feel the power, but for some reason that feels so much more intimidating. And I extract it and then I start talking, but I feel safe and confident in there, feeling the empowerment. But to just sit there quietly, um, I know that is another form of power, but
Mhm.
that feels intimidating.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
That's very interesting.
Hmm.
Uh, so I see kind of talking more as it is a more masculine or yang thing, right? Because you're putting form to something from the internal
Yeah,
out. And then the yin mode is more being receptive in the
yeah,
silence,
yeah.
right? So maybe it's showing your relationship to your feminine energy.
Yeah, yeah. I recognize that too. Like that silence feels more feminine than masculine.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
non-doing, like non-communicating.
Yep. Like inviting, inviting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And somehow there's fear there,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
like intimidation of that power.
Yeah. And this is off note, but why I want to say it because it's connected to that theme of power is for the first time in my life, I saw a wild cougar.
Mm.
Yeah. And the first thing I noticed when it ran in front of me, like across,
Mhm.
was it was carrying so much power. And I kind of like
Wow.
after it crossed, I like rolled down the window to just kind of stare and like make eye contact with it. And I
Yeah.
was so amazed at how confident it was in its own self that it was holding so much power. Like you can't break the energy of that cougar owning, like, I know I am powerful.
Wow.
Yeah, in myself. Like I so confidently own myself that
Yeah.
it just exudes so much power. And I
Yeah.
couldn't help but to just feel that. And even when it ran, it was
Mhm.
so powerful, like so powerful. Yeah.
Wow.
And I think that was just a reflection where even that cougar was trying to exemplify, like, own your empowerment. Look how, like, awesome it looks.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, like, I want to be in full alignment with that cougar for me, like owning
Well, that
that
seems
much confidence in self.
like a synchronistic meeting while you're in your week of examining power.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
dragons
With the
came
cougar.
after. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's crazy. That week of like, like basically the universe kept giving me signs of like, you're scared of
Yeah.
claiming your power to this degree.
Mhm.
This work has helped me to claim power layer by layer by layer. And I literally thought, oh, I am in my empowerment. But it's like, no, but then the place you want to get to is like big empowerment, like that state of feeling a lot of power.
Mhm.
And it made me realize, oh, I'm really scared to hold and to claim that much power.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think you're scared to
Oh,
claim and
recognize
hold
I
that much power?
integrated this. So this week I decided to do all week of self-care. So on Monday I did acupuncture, and that morning I pulled cards, the deck of cards you gave me.
Mhm.
And I just kind of said, okay, what's your message for me today, right? So I got a dragon card came out,
Mm.
the home card came out, and the jail cell came out. And I was like, oh, jail? I don't feel like I feel imprisoned in any way, but okay, like I don't know, but we'll see how the day unfolds. I didn't
Mhm.
really know what this meant. Oh, and guitar.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, well, it doesn't seem that bad, but this jail cell card, like, we'll see.
Mhm.
I went into acupuncture, and the moment I did, I took off. I went somewhere. And when I
Mhm.
went somewhere, um, these dragon came. Well, one dragon came. I had this vision of this dragon coming to me, but it was so monstrous and scary, like so scary. And I didn't like it. It made me feel really uncomfortable, almost like it wanted to come inside of me. And I
Mhm.
felt really scared of it wanting to do so, because it just looked really scary, like 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 demon like scary, you know? Um,
Mhm.
and it freaked me out. But then in the end, I got the aha of what it was doing. Like it only showed in that image because um, it was the scary image of the dragon was only a symbol of how much I'm scared of claiming my power.
Mm.
Yeah. And it just showed in the image of this like really gross, nasty, monstrous looking dragon. And I came to realize like why I scare that much power to claim it is because I'm so scared to misuse it.
Mm.
Because that much power, it revealed to me it's a double-edged sword. You can actually claim it and to do good with it, or you can actually do like damage and hurt people and cause like rupture in a negative
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I realized I'm so scared of utilizing it not knowingly in a negative way. And that's the
Wow.
reason why I don't want to claim that much power. Yeah, because I'm so scared of misusing it. But once
Mhm.
I had all of that, like, oh, and then I
Wow.
started to be like, oh my God, like I'm scared. Like, why? And
Yeah.
that's when I imagined myself surrounded by everything that is symbolized power.
Mm.
So, like, I imagine myself in like everything designer, like fancy cars, like everything, like, like full of money, everything that symbolized power in the material world.
Mhm.
And it was that same fear. Like, and I felt so um like I felt discomfort. I felt like I don't want this kind of power type of deal. And it got me really curious. So I started exploring. And ironically, it took me to a memory of my mom. Wait, is it okay?
Mhm.
I keep going. Okay, so it took me to a memory when I was 4, 5 years old. I naturally gravitated towards being like a mother, being that total nurture. That made me feel empowerment. And now when I look back, I now have connected dots because my North Node is to master nurturing. So my life path is mastering nurturing. And so I now see why in the past I just naturally gravitated toward that. And that makes me feel empowered. And
Mhm.
so as a kid, I was always a kid that like wanted to help my mom chop food. I was the
Mm.
kid that like really wanted to iron my dad's shirt, you
Mhm.
know? And like kids would want to go out and play and I'd be like, "No, I want to learn how to peel an apple with a real knife and I want to
Mm.
really iron dad's clothes with the real iron and use that like big knife to chop like fruit and veggies." And but and from my mom's perspective, it was like, "No, like you don't. You're not at the age." And my mom basically made me feel like you shouldn't.
Mhm.
Um, um, it'll come like when you get older, you'll do this all day, every day. So like just
Mm.
you're too young
Mhm.
and this is too dangerous and whatnot. But I realized for me to be able to do those things gave made me feel so much empowerment because that was what I was into. And she
Mhm.
didn't realize that because my mom didn't have the space because she didn't have leisure in her
Mhm.
personal life to like that space to be like, oh, I see, I want to support you, you know?
Mhm.
So she was good about taking that away from me. And it made, and so I had to basically, I didn't want to give up on that feeling state, which made me feel empowered. So I would do it behind her back.
Wow.
But every time if I would cut my finger or I would break a glass or I would burn my dad's shirt, that's when she would like get so mad at me. Like, I told you I'm right, so you cannot do it anymore. And really made me feel like, don't own your power. I'm gonna take it away. And she was like that scary, like I guess
Mm.
symbolizing that like dragon of like,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, yeah. And then once I did,
Mm.
I
Wow.
now became not scared of owning that power.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, I pulled a card and the dragon card popped out again, but this time with the guitar and like um people dancing. So it to me it felt like, oh,
Uh,
it's a celebration of I did it, right?
mhm.
But I think that was my integration with masculine empowerment. I'm not sure. But then the one that we're talking about is the more of the softer, like feminine empowerment that I am very aware um is something for me to explore
Mhm.
and integrate because I feel like you help me see like, oh yeah, this is more of the feminine. It feels like a more softer feminine energy of claiming my empowerment, like through
Mm.
silence or something like that.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, I just ripped it off,
Well,
but I just feel like
all
it's
the,
connected. Yeah.
yeah, the pieces coming together.
hmm
Yeah.
After the acupuncture and the dragon experience at the acupuncture place, that and on my way home was when I spotted the cougar. And after I did the integration,
Wow.
I realized, oh my God, I was aligned to seeing that cougar to say, I'm claiming that now. If I was
Mm.
not in alignment with it, I wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So claiming your power is about like you owning your desire to nurture
Owning my desire. Yeah, a lot of
and
it
be
was,
nurtured as well.
yeah, for me
It
personally,
goes
not,
both
this
ways.
doesn't go for everybody, but
Yeah.
yeah, for me
Hmm.
personally, yeah, there was
Hmm.
empowerment there that was taken away. And I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure there's other perspectives and experiences, but
Hmm.
this one really stood out.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And how much you allow yourself to be received,
hmm
like receiving inside the void too, like
Yeah.
the silence.
Yeah. And I have
Yeah.
one more thing I want to share,
Mm-hmm.
which is the aha I got through this integration was, you know, those parents, and you see a lot of this with like Asian culture,
Hmm.
um, where parents who don't have that, for instance, let's say a family that didn't have financial wealth, right?
Hmm.
And then they like have their child, but they want their child to totally succeed. So they
Hmm.
do whatever they can in their power to
Hmm.
like provide that kid everything to like become a success, right?
Hmm.
But in actuality, what that is doing, what it's saying is like that parent already has and believes that it's not empowered to succeed, right? Because it hasn't manifested it for themselves. Let's say material
Hmm.
success, right? So, but
Hmm.
then they're so angry or whatever it is, like, I so don't want my child to grow up like that. So
Hmm.
they provide their child the opposite experience, right? But
Hmm.
why that's also damaging for the child, if the parent does that, is because the parent has no idea how to create an environment of that kind of empowerment.
Hmm.
But they so want their child to, right?
Hmm.
So they allow the child to claim their empowerment, which let's say the child is actually claiming it, but they're
Hmm.
in a household that's not in alignment to their frequency of, yeah, I am claiming my power.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
so
because
there's like a
the
rift.
parents are modeling, I don't have it.
Yes. And the
So
kid
it's
is
an,
like, you're giving it to me, now I have it,
uh-huh. And
right? You're
maybe now there's
providing it for
pressure
me.
on the children.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's two ways. Yeah, you're right. And there's friction. Like this child is in a household that's not really in alignment with supporting the empowerment that this child is like being raised in. And then the parent is like, I want that for you, I want that for you. But like both the child and the parent are subconscious to recognizing like um there's friction there because
Hmm.
the parent is not seeing what the child really needs, because in order for the child to know what it really needs in that empowerment is for the parent to be in that empowerment to
Hmm.
recognize it and to provide
Right.
it. Yeah.
Hmm.
But if,
So,
yeah,
so they're both, if the parent is coming from lack,
yeah.
yeah, then
Mhm.
whatever external action you're doing that's coming from lack, it's
Yeah.
not really going to provide the conditions for the child to find their own
Uh-huh.
empowerment
Uh-huh.
with with the parents,
Uh-huh. And
with
this
the family.
child subconsciously doesn't know why, but is hating the environment, right? So this child is growing up to claim the power, but is
Mm-hmm.
hating the environment, hating the situation. So there's like rift in the family, let's say. And then this child potentially grows up to claim all this power, but like uses that power with all the anger that it's like experienced in life
Mm-hmm.
to um like I can see how that child ends up utilizing its own power in an unhealthy way against family, against society, or whoever it may be, or that child grows up with that kind of empowerment, but not really being supported in how to wield that power in a healthy way,
Mm-hmm.
that um it kind of like lives in like the gated community, like I don't want anything to do with like people other than people in empowerment, and I don't know, like kind of like selfishly, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it got me thinking, okay, if you claim all of that power, how do you make sure you don't end up abusing it?
Mm-hmm.
And to not abuse power, because to claim all that power is true. You could end up using it in a very bad way, or you could end up using it in a very healthy way, right? So how do you keep it healthy and even not be blindsided with it is
Mm-hmm.
to surround yourself with all kinds of people, not just seclude yourself in a gated community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Because that's separation.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think you have to keep integrating the opposite.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because again, it's the split that's carried over from the family of,
Hmm.
well, we feel lack, but we want you to be abundant.
Hmm. Yeah,
So we're gonna, in a way, make lack something wrong so that you can be do better. And it's
yeah,
already creating a separation
yeah, yeah,
there. Mhm.
yeah.
With we're not going to look at our internal state, but we're going to prioritize the external
Hmm.
markers of success.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
So then, yeah, it's again like neglecting the internal to achieve something in the external.
Hmm. Hmm.
And now, in order to keep the external prosperity going, right, you have to live in a gated community to protect yourself from
Yeah.
the thing that you think is
Yeah.
lesser than.
Hmm. Because what that child experienced as a child was that environment was like um to that kid that was claiming that empowerment for themselves, but being raised in a household where they couldn't support that because the parents were not in that state. Like it was painful to grow up in that. Like I know like subconsciously it's like I know I'm not a match to this, but why do I have to be in this situation? And that's a painful thing for a child. So that child's experience perspective is like, that was what pained me, to be surrounded by that kind of environment. So when that this child becomes an adult, it's like to that adult, it's like, I don't want to be surrounded by that kind of environment. Because
What's that kind of environment?
like I guess so if we're using that example of material success as like the empowerment thing that this family has going on, whatever, then this child is surrounded by everything that like, oh, dad is struggling financially to provide, um, and like kind of like um, so this parent is giving the child everything to find empowerment. Like you can be anything you want, have that power, but is living in a situation where it's so limited.
Mm, mhm,
And it's like you're giving me all this opportunity and helping me see like you can be anything you want, and you're supporting me in that. But my environment that I'm living in, it feels so limited. Like
mhm,
there's not enough food on the table, or like um they're all stressed because of financial whatever, and you're telling me like we can break out of that and you can too, but the parents are still in there living that way when they're
mhm,
trying to tell the kid like no, like you can come out of here. It's like, but you're not doing it, and you're
mhm,
helping me do it. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to be here if I can become more, or I don't know what the good example would be, but I guess you understand, right? Like,
mm. Well, kind of reminds me of my mom.
yeah,
She grew up in a pretty poor family
yeah,
because her father was a minister, and her
yeah.
mom died when she was in high school. And my grandmother's dying wish was for my mom to go to this really kind of prestigious women's college in the
Mm,
city.
okay.
And and so she made her sons promise to support my mom to go to this really fancy college.
Oh,
Hmm. Um, and trying to, in her mind, thinking, okay, I want to help my daughter have a
mm-hmm,
better life
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because she didn't get to go to college and she really
mm-hmm,
wanted to because it was really sexist back in even my grandmother's time.
mm-hmm.
They didn't even allow women to go to college, so that was her thing.
I see.
But it was this fancy college, and my mom would tell me how she didn't think going to that expensive college really made her happy.
Mm. She already knew that.
She already knew that.
Yeah.
And I mean, she lost her mom when she was in high school. And I think shortly after her younger sister died too. So she just went to this fancy college around other kind of wealthy
Mm-hmm.
daughters and felt totally out of place
Oh,
from
yeah,
where she grew up to now in the city.
yeah.
Yeah. But in her mom's view, this was the thing that she thought would set up her abundant life.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
But she actually, yeah, what she was saying was, I could have gone to a much more affordable place
Yeah.
and not stress my brothers to pay for it
Mm-hmm.
and be around my friends,
Yeah.
like her
Yeah.
local friends. That would have been actually better for her. And actually also dealing with all her emotional stuff of going through grief.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now she's just in this place where on the surface it was on paper, it's a
Mm-hmm.
really nice place to say you went to college.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Um,
So
yeah.
yeah, coming from in her my grandmother's perspective of I want you to leave this poor situation and create a better life for yourself and have an advantage.
Yeah.
Um, just in the external world, but wasn't really thinking about what's actually emotionally going to be good for her, for
Mm-hmm.
my mom.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it seems like your mom listened to her mom, went and realized, no, it's not for her.
Yeah.
Or she didn't like because of the environment. She didn't like the environment.
Oh, at the college?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she said she didn't really even benefit so much
Yeah.
from going there.
Oh,
Yeah. Except to just tell people, oh, I went there.
yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
I see. Yeah.
You know how
Well,
Korean people are into, oh, the number one, the best.
hmm ironically, I wasn't raised in that. And I think it's because my parents were like, they were not well off at all. So, um, um, she never pushed, well, my mom didn't raise me and my sisters in that way of like, um, I want you to have everything, whatever. Like when I look back, she took my empowerment. Well, she helped take my empowerment away. But when she did that, I was in alignment with my environment, if that makes
Mm,
sense.
mm,
And I thought about it. If my parents raised me that way, where,
mm,
yeah, they're not financially successful, but they try to raise me in that way,
mhm,
knowing me and myself, with the experience I had in the womb and everything, um, I would have utilized that power in an unhealthy way.
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
And the irony
yeah.
in that is like, um, the align like so she stripped my empowerment away, but I was in alignment with the environment. But somehow, at certain point in life, like it's like, wait, something's all wrong, something's off. So that's how I took my journey of like, okay, regaining my empowerment and all of that. But when I saw like if my mom had done that, I would have rose to empowerment in an unhealthy way though. So like, um, and I'm pretty sure at certain point in my life I wouldn't have liked it and maybe would have woken up. I don't know, or maybe not, you know,
Mm,
depending how severe it was. But knowing me, I would have utilized it in an unhealthy way.
mm,
Yeah. And the irony in this is this week, another client, a different client, kind of exposed that to me of what I knew about myself.
mhm,
She exposed how, yeah, her parents were not in empowerment, but gave her the empowerment, used it in an unhealthy way, and is waking up to that to now claiming her empowerment in a healthy way.
mhm,
And that gave me the validation of, oh yeah, like I would have taken her path too.
mhm,
But it's like, oh, it's interesting. It's like we both took this like labyrinth like path to get to the same conclusion of waking up from it.
mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So everyone goes through different journeys.
Mhm,
But all of that different paths that you take in life, like is has but every path is the same because um it like it's an opportunity to wake the self up.
mhm,
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm,
So it's not like to say one is better than the other. It's just
mhm,
a different path, but same opportunity to wake up.
mhm.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Um, right.
But
Every
power.
choice you make, it's going to reveal something
Yeah. Yeah.
about yourself.
Hmm. But I think
Yeah.
it's just all about correcting the misalignment to self-empowerment.
Mm,
Yeah,
mhm,
because we can use empowerment in a very abusive way. I mean, we've seen that in the collective,
mhm,
or we can use that empowerment in such a powerful, healthy way.
mhm,
Yeah,
mm.
yeah. But I want to ask you, like, um, when it comes to empowerment, like, wait, do you feel scared to claim that much power
Yeah.
for you? And I want to ask why then for you.
Um, it's being exposed. I think it's for me, it's very relational. If I, it feels like if I expose myself to such a degree, what if I'm torn down by others who don't, what if I trigger other people?
Oh,
Yeah. Hmm.
so underneath that, is it like I don't want to hurt them.
Yeah, I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to be separate, too separate.
Also, it's the same thing, like misusing power
It doesn't
somehow.
feel like misusing power though.
Okay.
It just feels like I don't know, unless however you define misuse, but
Yeah.
it feels like undermining power in
Oh,
order to keep the connection.
oh, yeah, yeah,
Mhm. Or fear of being unrelatable.
yeah. So,
Mhm.
okay, it is different.
Or like becoming my own island.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
pretty much don't want to end up alone, feeling alone.
hmm hmm It'll create
Oh,
too much separation.
this is juicy. So I love
Yeah.
that yours is different than mine because this is
Yeah.
a different perspective of how like
hmm
you probably like gave away your power and not claim it
Yeah.
fully.
Yeah. hmm Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't have the same relationship to fear of misusing it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. hmm
Oh,
Yeah. But maybe it's more like I'm not using it, not misusing it. I just
yeah.
don't want to use it.
You don't want to use power?
Yeah. It's like not wanting to use power,
Uh-huh.
wield power too much if it's going to cause disruption
If it's gonna
of
cause.
connection.
Oh, wow.
hmm
Wait, can I ask
Yeah.
more? I'm like really into this.
Uh-huh.
So, um, yours is all about like the root is like connection is more important, but are you saying like in connection, um, it's safer to not have that kind of power? Because you could have that kind of connection with claiming all that power too. But
hmm
something must have happened in the connection where that power didn't feel safe.
hmm
That much power didn't feel safe. Like kind of like for you, you felt like in a connection that you like, it's better to not have that kind of power. Like that much power.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it could hurt
Yeah.
somebody, it
So
could
then
exclude people.
so then you saw the perspective of like experiencing power being used in a negative way in connection.
Uh, Maybe, or just simply that it can exclude. It can cause too much of
Yeah.
a risk.
Yeah. You're seeing power in more of a negative way than a positive way in that
hmm
perspective.
hmm
Yeah. Like it can't do good.
hmm
I only
And maybe in
see,
that way, there is a connection to fear of misusing it.
yeah.
Because if one person is too much having a voice, maybe,
Yeah. Yeah.
and too loud, then
Yeah.
um, it's not giving enough
Mm-hmm.
space for others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in a way,
Oh wait, does power feel selfish then? Like
yeah, power
deep
feels
down?
selfish.
Oh,
Yeah. And it feels like power should be something that's more horizontal than just
yeah.
one person standing out too much.
I see.
And it's true. I don't think
Oh,
it should be concentrated too much in one
Hmm.
person. Because when you're
Yeah.
with other people,
Hmm.
I mean, in actuality, everyone has some kind of equal value, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, whether they're owning it or not is another issue, but
Yeah.
there's still like, so if one person is too much, you
Hmm.
know,
In power.
in power,
Yeah.
it kind of feels like it can easily become a fascist thing, and I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
the fear of becoming
Hmm.
that. And that's me too. Like, I don't want to
Hmm.
become that kind of a person. So I don't
Hmm.
want to claim that much power, was the
Yeah.
thing too for me.
Hmm. And I think it's because so far we just don't have examples of leaders who are really about
Yeah.
horizontal power,
Hmm.
because we live in a very dominator
Yeah.
culture,
Yeah.
you
Which
know.
stems
So of
from
course we're like, ugh, that doesn't
yeah.
feel good. That doesn't
Yeah.
look right.
Like, um, we kind of all know how to use power if you claim that much power in an unhealthy way.
Hmm.
Like, kind of like, but there's justification in why we needed to use power in that way to
Hmm.
everybody for some reason.
Hmm.
But that's the kind of environment that we normally got with, like, as a collective, than the opposite.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
Hmm.
So if we rarely saw the positive kind of utilizing power with self and others, we wouldn't think this way of power.
Yeah. But now that I'm feeling into it, I think power is not about like accumulating something for yourself. I think it's about
Oh,
what you help others to see as an innate part of themselves by you seeing that as an innate part of yourself
yeah, yeah,
and you
yeah.
embracing your uniqueness. And see, that's the double-edged sword. It's like if
Hmm.
you are just too much concerned with other people and you negate yourself, then that's
Yeah.
not
Hmm.
it. You have to really own your individual self within
Yeah,
the collective
yeah.
and
So it's
see how
not,
each part is belonging to that.
yeah.
And that once you reclaim yours, I think your power is in how you help others to reclaim theirs.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not like, oh, just listen to me.
Yeah. But then to be mindful of not secluding yourself, like because you can even end up secluding yourself by saying, no, I'm only going to help those, like limiting, like I'm only going to help those who have this criterion, whatever. It's just like, um again, it's like living in that gated community. Like, don't do that to yourself.
Mm.
Don't start secluding yourself. Like, once you're like, oh, I have my power, find ways where, like, you're interacting with all kinds of people.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Because, um, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know what else to
it's
say.
a really it's something about how you can don't self-sacrifice,
Hmm.
but you uphold yourself and you're in service to everyone, seeing the potential of everyone else to uphold themselves too, and
Yeah,
like letting there be uh like democracy in that.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
I love it.
which I do feel is the more feminine way than
Hmm.
the patriarchal. There's just one guy ruler over the land.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Like, we need,
Yeah.
oh, no, never mind.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, it's gonna be, I think, embracing your power is, yeah, embracing your uniqueness
Yeah.
and your
And
gifts,
fully
and
claiming it.
yeah, and living in accordance to your values.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
right.
when
It's
you,
it's some kind of maybe life of your, because right, the point of integration is you're kind of looking at every part of yourself,
mhm,
acknowledging every part of yourself, and making sure with fragment by fragment that you're all on the same page
mhm,
and you're not in contradiction
yeah.
with any part. You're not
Yeah.
working against any part, and you're really in awareness of all the different perspectives that live inside of you.
Mhm. I love
Hmm.
that you said that because that's beautiful. And I want to riff off of that because when you start having your fragments see each other and start building a relationship with each other, and then the more fragments you find, and then having them become friends with each other within yourself with all of these parts, they kind of like know what it's like to for that fragment to be individually seen, heard, and understood, but also have a healthy relationship with other fragments and other parts. And
Hmm.
then for them to say, I join you, where we all support each other. And this is
Hmm.
kind of like the reality that we want to see in the 3D.
Hmm.
But we're already going ahead and already experiencing that kind of relationship within
Yeah,
ourselves. It's like within. So
absolutely. Hmm.
therefore, when you have that within and you know what that looks like, feels like, and it feels so good, you kind of become that role model to see who else wants to get on board with me in wanting that kind of relationship. And
Hmm.
some people are ready for it, some people are not. So some will fall out, some will stay. And then you start building that in the 3D.
Hmm.
And then the more and more we do that, it's just a ripple effect of like basically healing the pain that's been just so passed down. And this could be a new way of relationship and helping people like find better relationships with each other and know how to now with each other.
Hmm.
Yeah, through integration.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because you're already having that foundation of relationship
Mhm.
or relating to your inner parts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And without the integration and you just have these fragments, right? They all are wanting to claim power. And so all of these fragments are at war trying to claim their own power. So then it's like, even if your neutral self is not, your shadow self could be creating ways where you will and can be misuse power. But
Hmm.
if you get your fragments and everyone integrated on board more and more, and you work through those layers, you go through the steps of claiming your power and like, oh, this is, I could handle this much power and to keep it healthy and steady. And then once
Hmm.
this feels normal, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
more power with your fragments. And then you just kind of are able to
Wow.
claim
So,
more and more power.
so I'm seeing claiming power is not about one fragment saying having the power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Claiming power is about it's a relational power.
Yeah.
When the opposite parts of you start to work together, and through that synthesis and integration, you're creating a much more powerful power than one fragment taking over saying, no, I'm right and you're
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
That is the old way of, I would say, it's not even real power if you're
Hmm.
dominating and destroying the other
It's painful. Yeah.
for the one side to win.
Yeah.
So maybe claiming power is about creating win-win relationships
Hmm.
internally and
Hmm.
externally.
Because these parts will call you out. But then the difference is they're all there to listen. Once you're integrated, they're all there to listen.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so it's not about hurting each other, but like you said, win-win. So everyone is there to empower the self, if you see it as oneness. But if you see it as separateness, it's like, oh, I keep you on track with your healthy empowerment and you keep me on track with my healthy empowerment. And that's like the definition of love, taking each other as a
Hmm.
part of yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah. And feeling good and claiming like full power.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Great. I think we cracked
yeah.
the code.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Claiming power. How to really claim power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Relationally.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, it was a good conversation.
Yeah, that was a good combo. Deep there.
Okay. Well,
Mm-hmm.
until next time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.